Hello everyone, FireCrest Gaming here and welcome back to another video. Welcome to what could be the very first episode of FireCrest Reviews, a series in which I review games, DLCs, maybe some other stuff from time to time. But for today, we're going to be covering something very special to me and very special to a big group of people. The final piece of Dark Souls DLC, Dark Souls 3, The Ring City. Well, this one's been a long time coming. We've been waiting for this DLC since Ashes of Ariandel really came out, because most people would rather forget that even happened. I wasn't one of those people. I actually quite liked Ashes of Ariandel, despite its short length, and some of the bosses not being very much up to date. However, it was still an enjoyable experience all around. So what about the Ring City? Well, I'm going to start it off by saying this. This is difficulty. Dark Souls really wasn't the hardest game for me, but this DLC turned it up, and my god, is the difficulty extremely high. If I compare this to another DLC, let's say The Old Hunters, then I'd have to say this is a million times more difficult, or at least on par with that one. I didn't die to 3 out of the 4 bosses in this. However, I didn't go in for a full blind playthrough, because I actually wanted to know what I was getting myself in for, so on and so forth. Moving on to the actual more aspects of the DLC, stuff like level design. It's a bit of a mixed bag for me. But through the first phase, I like the shortcuts, I like the aesthetics of all the areas, and I know quite like some of the enemies, like the Ring Knights and the I can't remember their names. Herald guys, can't remember their names. Sorry. A Herald Legion, that's them, Herald Knights. However, the angels in the Earthen Peak area, in the Dreg Heap, can become very annoying, and it's the same story with the archers at the beginning of the Ring City itself. They can become very annoying and can drain your health in an instant second. It's almost reminding me of the annoyances of High Lord Wolnir with his poison. It forces you to play stealth. It forces you to play stealth souls for those parts of the levels, and it's not the most fun. But those are minor complaints, and they can be handled with a lot more patience and a lot more thinking. But Dark Souls isn't like that for me. I prefer to think it as more action-based and more hand-to-hand melee combat rather than sneaking through. It's not Metal Gear Souls. I won't have any more jokes like that I can make in this. But regardless, yeah, it's all really good, and not to mention the weapons as well are fantastic in this. Just to name a few: the Aquamarine Dagger, the Ring Knight Straight Sword, and the Ring Knight Paired Great Swords. All 3 of them have some very interesting movesets and a lot of damage to boot, and they're all just very fun to use. But moving on from those, I want to move on to the one thing I want to talk about, and that's the bosses. So let's start it off with the demons. These guys are an epic intro into this epic DLC. The demons are extremely powerful and extremely aggressive, only in their active state when they're slightly on fire. You can see that this time with the demon from below, while the demon in pain is in his relaxed state as such. In this phase, the relaxed demon will not be as aggressive, and it won't really melee attack you, but instead will shoot you with long-ranged shots that will inflict toxic on you if you don't get out of the way of them. But luckily this is balanced out very well, and while in theory this shouldn't really work too well as a gank boss because it's just 2 of the same thing, it actually does work extremely well. Both of them it worked perfectly in just a way that it was a million times more enjoyable than most other gank bosses in Dark Souls 3, and particularly with Frieden Ariandel in the Ashes of Ariandel. I'd like to forget that ever happened, please. And also, you can see that I killed the demon in pain first instead of the demon from below, and that's because it affects the demon prince's moveset in the second phase. If you do it in this way and killing the demon in pain first, then it is a much easier fight in the second phase. So only kill the demon from below first if you're looking for a real challenge from this DLC. But what can you say about the demon prince? He's much more bigger and seemingly has a much more powerful flame effect on his body than the normal demons. And the moveset doesn't really change too much, as I said, with this demon, but with the second one it changes much more, and he deals much more damage and seemingly gains out double the defense that the previous one has. He's just, and is still ridiculously aggressive and does keep you on your toes. So you better watch out, because the Demon Prince is ready. But luckily, it's not the hardest fight. It's not the easiest either, don't get me wrong. But keeps you on your toes, and it's an, as I said, epic intro into this epic DLC. And it's also, in my eyes, the best designed demon boss in the entire series. I mean, think about it. What's the best one you had before this? The Asylum Demon? I don't know. Maybe leave that in the comments below. How to best put this? This fight is flawed. In many ways, this is a nod to the old monk from Demon Souls, where there used to be a PvP invader was taken over by the thing controlling the old monk, and that was used, and he used to fight you. However, in this one, it is summoned. The spears of the church that are summoned into the boss battle. Only one PvP invader can be brought in. However, multiple painting guardians can be. But the problem with it is that if the players use their head, if the invaders use their head, the painting guardian will gank you. If the host brings on multiple summons, they will gank the invader. The invader cannot heal, while the host can heal 15 times. The painting guardians can heal the invader. However, these are few and far between, and they're not enough. The host should be allowed to heal at least maybe just a couple of times. Sorry, the invader. But luckily, the fight they did get here, as much as I was healing away like hell, hopefully the invader understood why, and he actually gave me a really good fight. We were neck and neck, and he really kept me on my toes with using some of the new weapons, the Aquamarine Dagger and the Ring Knight Straight Sword. He was extremely good, I'll give him that. And I don't know, it's just... And then actually, if I talk about the NPC quickly, the one you get if you are not online, then, I mean, it does something a little bit different, but for the most part, it's just a Ring City invader, pretty much. Someone just took the new stuff from the Ring City and invades you with it. That's it. It's really annoying that both of these are flawed, because in theory, this should be a fantastic idea, mixing PvP and PvE. That's what one part of me says. Another part of me says keep PvP and E as far away from one another as possible. But, I don't know. To be honest, at the moment it's just flawed, and I think it maybe can be fixed with some better design, but as it stands, this is the worst boss of this DLC. But to be honest, it's not the worst, hardly far from the worst in the series, because of the epic music, and the fact that the PvP fight can be fantastic. It's just those healing things that really put me off. But other than that, this is alright, I guess. Luckily though, for what I'm about to talk about next, there's something very memorable that follows this boss fight. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you the technical final boss in all of the Souls games. Slave Knight Gale is an epic, epic boss. The set piece, music, and aggression of this boss is almost unmatched by anything else in the entire series. This is one of the best bosses in Dark Souls 3, if not in the entire series, as said. It is so epic. Gale constantly is jumping around, attacking like crazy, and he even has a cutscene that gives a quick nod to Artorias from the DLC of Dark Souls 1.
What? Still here? Hand it over, that thing, your dark soul. For my lady's painting.
And moving on further from that, he even has some dialogue and some very interesting lore about him being consumed by the Dark Soul, which he apparently scaped off multiple life cycles to get it for his painter's world. And once it looks as though you've taken further health off him and you get a cutscene, you're far from done. The second phase begins, and it is just as crazy as the first. He is still incredibly aggressive, and there are multiple follow-ups to his attacks, giving it extra damage. Oh, and did I forget to mention that health bar? It's not the biggest in the DLC, hint hint, but it is still massive. Not to mention that even a third phase even begins, where the environment starts turning against you and lightning storms are brought in, so you have to watch your footing as well as fighting Gale. If this were any other boss, I'd consider this just artificial difficulty, but because it is as epic as this, it is just another stepping stone really to defeating this almighty character who was brought up to be nothing, and instead he was, well, one, took the honours being the final boss in the DLC, and two, being the most epic boss in the game, the DLC, and possibly of most of the entire series. But there's still one to go. Yes, Dragon Fight. We all wait for these and hope that we get a good one, and boy have we got a good one on the table for you. For the starters, you can't even fight Medea until you down him and take him off the ledge. For this, you have to get his health down to a minimal, perform a critical, and off he goes. He will finally go down into the chasm below, at which time you have to follow a set path. Down you go, and there he is at the bottom of this lake. And then it is game on. You versus this apparent descendant of archdragons. That is quite something, knowing you're taking on this almighty thing, and not even mentioning the size of it. And you remember what I said earlier when I was talking about Gale? With the size of the health bar? Well, this guy has got to be one of the tankiest bosses in the entire series. Maybe alongside people like Vendrick, the Ancient Dragon, and so on and so forth. But he just has so much health. And not to mention that every other part of his body, other than his head, doesn't take extra damage, which helps speed along the fight. And you can see the first death, I just got clawed. This is my favourite death, just because of how always funny it is. So you can see here I get hit by his laser. It does a lot of damage, about half health. Ready for this. All my health goes in one hit. Medea is so powerful that he just takes away all your health in an instant if you're not ready. And you need to be able to dodge everything. This is probably one of the biggest endurance fights in the entire series. Then I forgot about his buff. It just got worse and worse until finally I resorted to my old friend the katana, and we slaughtered this beast. This took long enough. This is probably his worst attack he has, where he stands up and breathes fire on the ground. But eventually, with enough patience, you'll be able to slay this of the final boss I'm talking about today, of another Ancient Dragon. Well, everyone, I hope you enjoyed me talking about the Ring City. Would I recommend this DLC to anyone who has Dark Souls 3 or is planning to get Dark Souls 3? Absolutely. But the only problem with this is it makes Ashios of Ariandel look terrible and makes so many other aspects of the game look just mediocre. When you consider that they bought such a good boss like Medea, then that makes something like the Ancient Wyvern just pale in comparison. So it is almost a shame that FromSoft couldn't bring something like this into the main game straight away. I don't know what they were doing, messing around with the Deacons of the Deep and the Curse-Rotted Greatwood. But regardless, yeah, that's it. That is it for Dark Souls, I believe. I've got one more playthrough coming up. That is the original Dark Souls, which will start as soon as this video goes out. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you guys later. Take care, everyone. Goodbye.